Welcome, everybody. This is Josh Weinstein for Running with the Mind, and this is our 10K training program with mindful running coach Marty Kibiloski. And our lesson for today is running form. So we know that form will help in a lot of ways, but I think most people don't know what is good form, when do I need it, and what are some tips that you can give people that they can start applying right away.
Nice. When it comes to running form, some of us have more natural, fast running form than others, but all of us were born to run, and all of us ran as kids and we enjoyed running. You wouldn't be watching this program unless you have some interest in running. So I'm not here to try to change your form. The body is an amazing machine that will adapt to how we are built anatomically, and then the form will be what it is. For example, Frank Shorter, the gold medalist in the marathon in 1972 and then the silver medalist in 1976 Olympic Games, he has a strange little arm thing that goes across his body. But if you look at from his waist down, everything is perfect. Well, there's a guy that if you look at him and say, wow, he doesn't have perfect running form, but how come he's so good? And the body will adapt. So just realize that your form, the way that it is probably more than fine, really close to perfect. So what I want to talk about is when our form degrades, not changing your form. And here's what happens when our form degrades, is when we get tired. So either when we're out in a workout or a race and we start to get tired is what I want to talk about. That's when you can take the benefits of mindfulness and meditation, place the object of your meditation on your body, and just a few tips I'm going to give you around running form so you can scan your body and see how you're doing. You'll probably realize, wow, my form is really degraded because I'm tired. And so let's talk about those. One of the things that happens for most of us is our shoulders come up and then we start running like this. But we don't normally do that. So that's why I'm saying you don't need to change your form. It's only taking a look when you get tired. So I'm going to give you a tip on how to stop that. And the tip is not put your shoulders down. That's an easy one. I'm going to give you something even easier than that. Another thing to think about with our form is the midline of our body right here. If you see if my arm crosses my midline, what does my shoulder do? It points this direction. Same thing over here. It points this direction. The most efficient way to run is in a straight line, straight ahead. We don't want our shoulders going from side to side. We want our shoulders to be square. And one of the ways it takes us out of our shoulders being square is to cross the midline. So I'm going to go in a little more detail on that, is how do we take a look at the midline of our body and not have our hands cross the midline so our shoulders aren't going from side to side. And then the last tip I was going to talk to you about is our arm swing. So if you stand sideways and your arm is next to your body, it might be intuitive to us that when we run with our arms, that it's 50% in front and 50% in back seems like a reasonable ratio that would be good running form. Turns out it's not. So I'm going to talk about that. So let's start at the beginning. Shoulders are up. When we're tired, how do we prevent that from happening? Look at your thumb and have your thumb hit your hip bone. So when you're running and your arms are going past your body, have this thumb touch your hip bone. And that is really good running form because you're right in here. And what that does for you is it keeps your shoulders down because your hands are down. When the shoulders come up, our whole arms and hands come up. If your hands are down, your shoulders don't come up. And that helps power you when you're running. I find that better advice than just look at your shoulders and put them down. Put your thumb to your hip. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, we talked about the midline. So when you're running, you want to have your hand down by your hip, so you're going forward. And notice when my hands are coming straight up and straight back. Some of us have a little bit of a turn, which is fine. But when we get tired, we tend to come way over. And then what happens is we're running side to side as much as we are straight ahead. So take a look at your hands. Where are they? My thumb in relation to my hip, and where are my hands in relation to the midline of my body. If I look down and they're going quite a bit across, I'm going to keep an eye on that and keep it more in here. So that'll help us with our shoulders. That's tip number two. And then tip number three is regarding our arm swing. As I mentioned before, it's intuitive and reasonable that would be 50% in the front, 50% in the back when we do an arm swing. Now that I've told you this, and you see a running race on TV, or you're watching the Olympics, or you happen to be at a race and you see someone running really fast, take a look, and you'll find what I'm about to tell you is true, that believe it or not, it's much more on your back swing than it is on your front. So it's somewhere 60 to 70% going back, and somewhere around 30 to 40% coming past the midpoint of your body and moving forward. And the reason this is, if you go out now and just practice this, when you drive your elbow back, you get power to go forward. It is just automatic. It's how it works. But if you drive your arms forward, you don't get much. It's actually kind of wasted. It'd be like running out here. It doesn't do much. But if you run back here, and you talk to anyone who's a power runner, a sprinter, a 100-meter runner, they focus on driving the arms back because it drives them forward every time. So this is really important to our form to get the most power moving forward we possibly can. You can use this if you wanted to sprint at the end of a race. Just focus on driving your arms back. And then I would say 3 things when you're doing this. If you were trying to finish a race fast, I drive my arms back and I would say fast, fast. Then I would say faster, faster, faster. And then I would say fastest, fastest, fastest. And then you'll just move at an incredible clip. But I really want to teach you this in the way, really, if you're running and you're getting tired and your form's starting to degrade, what are just 3 things I can look at? And this will really help you in your training and in your racing. So Josh, 1 year in the Boston Marathon, I didn't run as well as I wanted to because I started the race too fast, which is something that I know not to do, but I was too excited, and it happens. We all make mistakes. This was a big mistake for me. Started out way too fast, and then found myself with 6 miles to go, completely exhausted. So then I had a choice. Do I drop out, or do I try to keep going on without continuing to slow down, slow down, slow down? So what I did is I focused on my form. And those are the 3 things that I focused on. And at the time, I was fit enough to run 5:30 per mile for a marathon, but I'd slowed down to 6:30 per mile. And by focusing on my form, completely exhausted, I was able to finish the race at 6 minutes a mile, even though I didn't have hardly any energy at all. This is the benefit of focusing on form. If, that's an extreme situation. It maybe would have been better for me to have just dropped out and do a marathon another time, because my body took more than a month to recover from that experience. But it's the idea that form can play a big role in helping you in your workouts and in your races to be able to complete them and to feel better about what you're doing.
Great, thanks. So that was running form tips, and our next lesson will be taper to race day.